Hair, Love, Radio.
You're listening to Hair Love Radio, where we get into the nitty-gritty of what it takes to make your dreams a reality, start unlocking your potential, and live your best life, helping hairstylists, creatives, and girl bosses spread their awesome and light like confetti. You were made for awesome.
Hair, Love.
Hi, welcome back to Hair Love Radio. I'm your host, Elizabeth Faye, and we are here with the fantabulous Mazie
Fantabulous.
who is the director of Hair Love Retreat and the warrior who has been with us through this journey of growing hair love.
Day one, homies.
Snap, snap, snap. Oh. So today's episode is pretty exciting. Today we want to talk to you about something because I don't give a shit if you're single. I don't give a shit if you're in a happy relationship, a terrible relationship, going through a divorce, or just all by your damn self.
We want to talk about the most important relationship.
Here we go.
Yourself. The
Yeah.
relationship with yourself.
Mazie's one of the most positive people I've ever met or had the pleasure of being friends with or working with. Something that's really different about Mazie is Mazie loves herself.
I do.
Yeah, and it's where her confidence comes from, though, is a place of self-love. And you know how they say you should love yourself like Kanye loves Kanye? That is so wrong. You need to love yourself like Mazie loves Mazie because it's such a...
Shit, that's a new card.
It's a new t-shirt.
It's a new swag, you guys.
Yeah, it comes from a place of love and light. And so it's not egotistical. It's not narcissistic. It really is a form of love. And it's the way that God or universe or whoever would want you to love yourself because she loves herself, you know, as close as possible as they could. And that's something that comes natural to her, but it's also something I like to hope you work on a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, 100%. Which is, I mean, it honestly, I like to say that it's not that impressive that I love myself as much as I do because I do think I was blessed with a level of self-confidence. But whatever, like any talent that you have to work on. Mm-hmm. And so if you look at, I have so many books in my room because I do love to read, but a lot of them are like self-help books. And so, I mean, if it came super easily, then it really wouldn't be impressive at all, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, a lot of that's one thing that I love about this whole podcast, and we wrote a blog that's coming out today as well.
Which, by the way, it's in the show notes. Read all about self-love.
Yeah. No, it's that I love the idea of loving yourself, and I not like just I want myself to love myself because, like we were just saying, I do. It like hurts me when I see someone not loving themselves. I think I'm a real like empath, and so like when I see someone talk down about themselves, even just little comments, it's like my pet peeve. I'm like, don't be nice. Like, be nice to yourself.
Mazie used to, if I ever, and I don't feel like I really, really make an effort to not say mean things about myself or other people, but I'm human. And there's times it might be like, oh, I look fat today or something. Mazie be like, say
3 nice things about yourself.
Say 3 nice things about yourself. Yeah. And at first that's how I felt about it. Was like, ew, Mazie, stop it. And now I'm like, no, that's beautiful.
One weird, like just weird concept to me is for some reason, we think that it's so incredibly weird to say nice things about ourselves. Like you hear girls and guys, you hear people tear each other down, like teasing is so fun. And like it's like you automatically refer to someone as being cocky or egotistical when they say something great about themselves. And that's a weird concept to me, but it is something that I had to learn to do. It's like when someone compliments you and you're like flustered, half the time you'll notice when you tell someone something about themselves, like, oh my gosh, you look so awesome. Instead of saying, thanks, I do. A lot of times people say, oh, really? I got ready in like 5 minutes. Or, oh my gosh, no, I look like shit today. And you'll notice that when you compliment people. A lot of times people like take your compliment and feel like they have to defend why it's not true. Instead of, and you feel awkward almost at first when people have just a genuine like, thanks, I do.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of look at them like, what? Oh.
Or thanks so much.
Yeah.
Or thanks that,
Thanks, yeah.
Thanks, I love this shirt too. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. That is something you do really well. And I feel like, I mean,
But it teaches people around you to do the same thing is where
Yes.
it's like important.
Well, and there's nothing, if you've ever been on a date and you complimented someone, nothing is like more unattractive
cringy.
than when someone's like, oh no, I don't look good. Thanks. Oh, I feel fat. Like nothing is more unattractive. And
That's
you
so
know,
fun that you get to eat that, but I can't eat something
yeah,
like that.
hate that. What is that movie? I Feel Pretty, right?
Oh,
Amy
my
Schumer.
gosh.
Okay, it is in the show notes. You have to see it. I literally cried. I bought it because it shows you the power of how her entire life changed because she knew
'Cause
she
she
was,
knew.
a daughter of God or the universe or
My
whatever.
dad
We're both crying.
saw that movie. My dad saw that movie. My dad is a sweet angel. And he went and saw the movie in theaters and he left the theater crying and he was like, how empowering is it that she felt that way about herself? And I was like, Dad, you're so cute.
Maisie, you embody that though, and we all can. It's what's really,
Oh my
really, really
gosh.
cool.
Yeah, it's one of those cliches, but people say like, well, anyone can wear a bikini or like that's something that I fully believe. I'm like, why? Like, what do you mean you can't? Like, you hear people all the time like, oh, well, no, I can't wear crop tops. I'm like, why? Do you like them?
You're like, oh, you don't like those? I love those.
You hate them? That's weird. And if you know me, like I mean, I work out and things like that, but I am by no means a fitness model. I am by no means like toned or really in shape. Like I'm honestly not.
But you hot, girl.
But I love like I will walk around you can ask my roommates. I walk around the house naked. I never just because it's like not my thing. If you do, so much power to you. But like I like never send like sexual pictures to guys or anything. But I send them to my sister all the time. I'm like, look at how great I look naked right now. She's learned. She like won't open her Snapchats from me around people.
My God.
But it's just like
No, it's true. And it radiates off of people. And you know what's something really cool is when you give yourself permission to do something, right? Whether that be to love yourself or raise your prices or hang out with someone more positive, you're actually helping other people.
oh my gosh.
Maisie
yes.
doesn't know this. I am so much more comfortable with my cellulite because of hanging out with you. Because you're always like, no, you look good in that. Why can't you wear those shorts? Like when we went to Disneyland, I wore things I would have never wore.
And we had so
because
much fun.
We had so much fun because Maisie was like, why not? Like, put it on. It looks hot.
Yeah.
So it gives other people permission to love themselves. And that is even a cooler gift.
I used to be the like church youth group leader for the 12 to 14-year-old girls, which is just prime age for tearing yourself down.
Oh, yeah. That's
Like-
like the hate yourself years.
Yeah, like 12 to 14-year-old girls, they know how to make other people hate themselves and hate themselves when they want to. But it was such a cool experience to work with them. And one thing that I would always say like, you're only as cute as you are confident. And that is true. It's being cocky and being arrogant, like that's not the same thing as being confident. Being confident is like knowing your strengths and your weaknesses and being comfortable with them. And I think, one thing that I talk about in the blog is that a lot of times we don't give ourselves permission to love ourselves because we think that if we are loving where we are, we won't progress. And I think that's true. I think a lot of people like tear themselves down because they think that that's what's going to build them up, as if they're constantly like, no, I need to do this better. I need to do that better. But that's not true, because if you're constantly saying to yourself, I'm not enough, I'm not good at this, you're never going to be.
No,
Like
it's never enough.
Yeah, we rise to the expectations that are given to us. So if you do think like I do, I would love to be in better shape. That's one of my goals this year. But the best way for me to do that is not to constantly be like, oh, well, I need to lose weight, I need to do this. The best way for me to do that is like, oh, you know what? I'm going to wear this stuff and I can't wait till it looks even better on me. But right now I still love it. Like, whatever. Okay, I'll go to the gym. I'm going to wear I wear like leggings and a sports bra to the gym all the time. And I've had people say before, like, oh my gosh, it's so great that you're like so confident to do that, which is like, why shouldn't I be? Like, I mean, but I get what they're saying. I'm not like a size 2 or a size 4 or a size 6. Like, I'm not any of those things, and I don't have like these abs, but I'm like, but it's more comfortable when I'm working out.
Yeah.
And eventually you guys are going to be like, shit, look at her abs. So why not do it?
What you were saying about afraid of loving where you're at because you won't grow. So this is a thought that came to mind. So talking about self-love with your body. So I have always battled the thought as, being a woman, being a teenager, with if I embrace my cellulite, that means it'll never go away. Kind of like what you said, where if I relentlessly hate myself, then I'm still in the battle and the war of getting rid of my cellulite. So there is still hope that the cellulite will leave. And I think that's a really interesting concept because for those of you listening, how many of you have not gone to the park because it was so hot and you didn't feel comfortable in booty shorts and a tank top and you didn't want to go and burn up in jeans and a t-shirt that covered your air quotations fat body or uncomfortable body, right? And if you don't relate to this, that's great. That's awesome. That's like you're in a really healthy headspace. But
And side note, don't feel bad if you don't relate. Because that's
No,
something
that's
that
great.
that's
You
something
should
that I
celebrate
did
it.
battle for a long time.
really,
But continue with your thought.
So, and how many of you have not gone to the lake or not gone skiing or whatever it was, or not gone to that swim party in high school because you were afraid that someone would see that your boobs were uneven or that you
have stretch marks.
have stretch marks.
That was a big one for me.
I got stretch marks in high school.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And
I had stretch marks on my thighs I think 8th grade. I had a big
me
growth
too.
spurt and my mom would always say, these aren't because you're overweight, because that's what I would think. She was like, that's because you grew too quickly and your skin stretched. That's what a stretch mark is. I was like, oh.
Yes, I got
Gotcha.
those too.
I haven't you probably if you have bigger boobs, then you have stretch marks on your boobs. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. Or anywhere.
Yeah.
But so if you guys have felt that way, know that other people feel that way, but you don't do yourself a service by not going to the park and not going swimming until you're hot enough for, you know what I mean, to give yourself permission to love yourself enough. And I think just realizing that you can still be comfortable in your own skin and still be getting better. Like really, like what she said, do not pass that comment by. I think that's a really strong point that could relate to anywhere, your business, your sex life, your self-love. You can still love where you're at and still be a work in progress.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Brene Brown, she's one of my favorite authors. We'll link just her in the show notes and you can go see her stuff. But Brene Brown has a quote, and it is in the blog. I might butcher it right now, but it basically says, the bravest thing you can do as a person is love the progress that you're making in your story. And it's like, yeah, that is really an incredible thing that you can do because it's hard. Like it's hard because you're always getting better, but enjoying where you're at does not mean that you're not going to move any farther. Because if you think about it, the happiest times in your life are probably when you grew the most. And I'd say it goes both ways, because also like your hardest trials, but probably not the times when you're just most down on yourself.
Yeah.
Because we as human beings, it's pretty natural to, once you get down, like to spiral. It's the whole misery loves company. I mean, you're your own company, so usually you spiral on something.
Yeah.
And
let's talk about the flip side of that. So, and I think as we're talking about self-love, there's a lot of corners of your life, right? There's your love life, there's your self-love of like who you are and your body and, the way you feel about things or your opinions about things, that whole like who you are. And then you have your spiritual, and then you have some sort of business and financial relationship. And so a lot of us will be good at some of those corners, but not all of them, which totally makes sense. It's like, we're always a work in progress, right? We're always trying to get better. So maybe there are some parts of your life that you're really fucking killing it at, and you're not celebrating being good at that because you're embarrassed of making other people feel bad or them judging you for being cocky or whatever that is. So let's talk about, Mazie, like your experience of self-love on the other side, and maybe how you held yourself back from being more abundant with your self-love because you were toning yourself down to save other people, when in reality, you being your full self actually helped other people. So let's talk about that.
Okay. So I feel like same thing, like there's a couple different areas of that. My first thought is in a committed relationship with a significant other. So I'm not in one right now. I was in a 3-year relationship. And when I came out of that relationship, 2 things happened. One, everyone, like, I'm not kidding when I say everyone thought I was going to crash and burn, including myself. Like, everyone was sure, because I was like, a big part of my identity was like his girlfriend and his fiance. Like, that was my identity. And so people were like, oh, she's going to crash and burn, including myself. And 2 things happened. I came out in a few months out of the relationship. I remember my dad, and I'm going to cry, him telling me that I was like myself again, and that I was brighter and happier. And that was weird to me, because I was like, well, I'm more sad right now. Like, I was like, I'm still sad. I'm still grieving a relationship that I loved. But the more that I stepped away, the more that I realized I have a tendency to date men that I can build up, because I love doing that. I love building people up. Not people that are not guys that are doing awesome things. I don't have a tendency to date guys that are like projects that you need to fix. I said that with like air quotes. Like, I'm not someone that wants to go fix someone else, but I am someone that wants to like make someone see how great they are. And I ended up dating a guy that I was constantly building up. And I felt like I had to not build myself up, because I didn't want him to think that I thought I was better than he was. Mm-hmm. And I think as women and men, just as people, but a lot of times women nurturing, we have a tendency to think that the only way to make someone feel better is like to tear ourselves down. And in reality, it is the opposite. Because then on the flip side, I've seen it I have 2 sisters, and both of them are younger than me. And one of them, and both of them have struggled with body like image for sure. And I cried one day, just started bawling, that I cried because I didn't hate myself. And that was hard for me, because I do like to think of like empathy is, now everyone knows, it's like it is the code on my phone. Like it's
her bank account's password.
It's not my bank account's password, but it is my iPhone password. So, but empathy means a lot to me. And the fact that I could not empathize with my little sisters who I love so much. And I literally just could not understand them not loving themselves. Like, it made me sob. I was like, why don't I hate myself? Like, I was mortified. I talked to my brother. I was like, I should hate myself more. I should hate myself more.
Well, and I've heard you even apologize, like, I probably like myself more than I should. And I think that's you coming into an owning of like, no, this was a gift I was given and a value that I have. And I think that's a struggle, like on the same side, when people get success or happiness in any form, really, is being okay and comfortable with that gift and that
the fact
goodness.
That you're worthy of it.
Yeah, and that it comes to you, and you can really help more people if you can, and it's normal to feel uncomfortable with that. I think that I didn't know that you sobbed like that.
It was hard. It was a hard realization. I think it happened like towards the end of 2017. Because that was a big like transformative year for me, I felt like. And then 2018, I really tried to embrace the fact that like and put into practice the idea that loving myself openly would help those around me. And it is something that I've tested and seen work. Yes. That I like my poor little sisters, I love them, but neither of them are, and not even from a confidence standpoint, more from having boundaries that I apparently lack. Like, they keep themselves covered for the most part. Like, and I like go up, because my littler sister, she's 14, and I will go up to her and I'll like grab her little boobs, which you shouldn't do that if you don't have permission from people. But I go up to her and I grab her boobs. I'm like, look at your boobs. They're so cool. Like things like that. And I've seen in the last year her become more comfortable. Like she'll come up to me and she'll be like, look at your boobs and stuff. Or we'll do, I like to call them like tit fives. Like me and my two sisters will like go in and hit like one boob together. And it's just, I was like, it's just the mindset of like recognizing your body, recognizing whatever your strengths are. That's just one that I worked on with them. And it's like, it is an area that I think as women, we have a hard time.
We do not do tit fives in the office, but maybe if it works for you at home, I think it's a great thing to implement.
Yeah. It's probably not a work time thing.
No.
It's like an NSFW. I just learned that. It stands for not safe for work.
Oh, yeah.
It's an NSFW.
For sure. Yeah, don't go into your salon doing tit fives.
No.
Your client, you're like, boom,
Your client's
self-love.
like, hey, we love each other. But it's this idea that if you lead with love, you have love at the core. The best way to spread love is by practicing love always. And the only person you're with all the time is yourself.
Ooh, okay. So do you want to hear the funniest thing?
Yes.
Like playing off of that, the only person you're with all the time is yourself. Is if you guys have listened to the podcast in the beginning, I share my story, episode 1 and 2. You can hear a lot about my shiz. But anyway, so growing up, I was a super troubled kid, and my dad was really an angel in my life. And he used to tell me, Elizabeth, because I hated myself, you guys. I cut myself. I ran away. I threatened to kill myself. I was sent to different schools. I mean, I drank. I did drugs. I did self-sabotaging behavior sexually, like not good things. I freaking got put in the hospital for not eating because a boy told me I was fat. Like, it wasn't great. And my dad used to tell me, he's like, the only person you live with all the time is you. If you can't learn to love yourself, you're never going to be happy. And that stuck with me my whole life. Like when I got in a divorce and I had to raise my son, who did I have? I had to live with me.
Yeah.
And I had to like me. And it all had to come down to like my mistakes, whatever led to that decision in my life, wherever I was, I had to be okay with that or learn to be. And so really working on myself has been something that has been a huge thing for me. And I think it's cool you're getting both perspectives because Mazie is blessed with this awesome gift and she has to continue to work on it. And, you know, life is hard and bad things have happened to her. And I'm sure that gets tested all the time. Where on the flip side, it was a lot more natural for me to not like myself. And still, we're both can be in a place where we can love ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think, so whoever's listening, you know, there's those two sides, which I think is interesting. And, yeah, and that always stuck with me. My dad, he's like, you're the only person who has to be with you all the motherfucking time. Except for he didn't say the motherfucking.
No, your dad did not.
He definitely did not say that. But yeah, it's true. And so it's like your best investment you can make is loving yourself.
Well, and the first step to that is recognizing that it's important and okay to love yourself. Because
Which is what we're doing here. We're brainwashing you into realizing how important this is.
This is the truth. It is though. No, but because when we talked about this being a podcast we were going to do, I thought to myself, I was like, okay, well, I need to think of things that I can tell people this is what you should do. Because it's only so, I think it is actually helpful to just talk about how much you love yourself. But I wanted to make sure that I could say, didn't just say like, okay, love yourself. Go on, run along. And especially because like I said in the beginning, I love reading and, I do think, I love like testing things, which can be good, can be bad because I'm someone that has to learn for myself. So, I was never someone that my mom loves the story of me I was like 4 or 5 and she was like, do not touch that. It was like one of those electric fireplaces. Oh gosh. Like, do not touch that. It is hot. It will burn you. And
You're like, how hot is it?
Literally, I was like, I wonder though. Touch. Like, oh, okay, it's hot. I never touched it again. But that's, I like to learn things. And I don't want to just leave you guys thinking, okay, go run along, love yourself. And you being like, well, shit, that's helpful. Great. Yeah. Okay. Do I love myself now? So here's some tips and tricks that I've personally tested. Some of them I still do. Some of them weren't best for me, but I've seen them work for others. But there's a few things that I've practiced and have seen work that I'd love to share with
Hell
everyone.
yeah, let's do it. What's your first hot tip?
So the first one we already did say, but like recognize it's okay to love yourself and whatever you need to do to remind yourself of that. So figure out your best way. A couple great.
Hey, whoa, before we move on,
Yeah.
say to yourself out loud, like that makes me want to cry just saying it's okay to love myself.
Yeah.
That's a really powerful statement.
It's I have, and this is I said that like I practice some of these things. I do. Elizabeth may have noticed. I don't know. I have alarms on my phone that are vibrate only.
I know this.
Yeah. But I do. I have alarms on my phone that are vibrate only, and one of them is be open to receiving positive energy and light. And it goes off every single day at 10:45 a.m. My phone vibrates, and I'm like, oh, that's right. Yep.
And you know what you guys could do is you could do the I am statements that we teach in our coaching program, but basically a quick rundown of that is creating a powerful
I am
statement.
enough.
I am worthy of love.
Yes.
I am lovable.
I am beautiful. I have a nice ass. Like literally you pick things. And so figure out the best way for you to see that, whether one big one, which we talk about with I am statements, but write on your mirror, write on your mirror in the top corner so that it's what you see when you're brushing your teeth. And you know what? A lot of the things that hold us back from getting better are our ego. And because even saying it, I think to myself, okay, but other people use my bathroom and I'm going to look like a psychopath. But you're not. And then other people will see that. And it's a good message. Like, it's not like you have written on your mirror, like, I fucking suck. Like, no one wants to see that. Like, you should write things on there that are true. And it's like the movie The Help, where she says to the little girl every day, like, you are strong, you are kind, you're important. Like, those are important things to hear when you're a kid. So they're probably more important to hear now. But figure out the best way to remind yourself, whether it's writing it down in a journal or writing it on a piece of paper and taping it to your wall, putting it as an alarm on your phone. But set some statements for yourself that are empowering for you and repeat them to yourselves and read them and remember them. So yeah, that's a big one
I love
for
that.
me.
Yeah.
Is set reminders and actively work to love yourself.
So what does that look like? So we're on number 2, actively work to love yourself.
Number
what does
2,
that look like?
We talk about gratitude journals. One thing that this is a free tip that my sister paid a lot for in therapy, but she shares, so it's okay. But keep a self-love journal. Have a journal that she had to report back 3 things that she loved about her body and 3 things that she loved about her personality or her skills, things like that. She had to do that every single day. Ooh. And so you get to the point where you're really observing yourself. You're like, and this is something that I love about myself. I have a mole just above my lip. I love the mole just above my lip. Like, you get to that point where you're writing down all these things. You're like I do. If you ask me things about my body, I'm like, I'm like, oh, I have 2 moles under this boob that I love. And like, I like the way my foot is in this. Like, when you actively look at things that you like about yourself, it takes a second and it feels uncomfortable at first, but you're like making a point to notice how great you are. And so you do that from a physical standpoint, because I do think that being comfortable in your body and your skin, like that, you're exuding confidence, and that shows in the way that you stand and the way that you hold yourself. And that will make you better in business. That will make you better in relationships. That will make you better in everything if you hold yourself with more confidence. But then also notice your things like, I'm funny and I am quick-witted, and you write down. So keep a journal of things that you love about yourself, physical and like attributes and skills.
You know what's really cool about that, Mazie, is I would guess not most of us know that we have 2 moles under our boobs. Like, things like that. And I say that because a lot of us would never take the time to stand in the mirror naked and dare look at ourselves.
That's in the blog, is to stand in the mirror naked every day.
Oh my God.
I'm not kidding. It's in there.
Okay, read that. But I just say that because like that is a lot of people's worst motherfucking fear.
Yeah.
Like, you want me to find out where my moles are? Like, fuck you. I have to first look at my cellulite to do that.
Yeah.
But if you can look at that with adornment and love and be like, oh, it's actually kind of cute because I like that my butt is peach shaped and it looks good. Yeah. And you even, to take this a step farther, something I've noticed is you notice those things about yourself so much that you're really good at buying clothes that accent the parts of yourself that you love. And I think that women would enjoy their bodies more if they knew how to do that and they were comfortable. And it's not like you're some fashion designer or blogger. You just know what you like about your body.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you and I have similar body types. So I'll be like, well, if it looks good on you, it'll probably look good on me.
Yeah.
Because I don't spend that much time looking at my butt.
Yeah.
But I'm going to.
You do. You need to. And it's like the best way to think of it for me, I don't have any kids myself, but I love kids, and I have a lot of like adopted nieces. Oh, I thought you were coughing. And I have a lot of adopted nieces and nephews. So is what I call them. But I get mad. Like, there's not a lot of things that make me super mad. I get mad when I see mothers, especially, just because I think little girls are really influential. But when I see parents in general say negative things in front of their kids, because it's teaching them that that's okay.
Yeah. Well, let's take that a step farther. So I have a 5-year-old son.
Yeah.
If he hears me say I'm fat, what do you think he's going to judge other women on? How fat or not they are.
Yeah.
That is my worst nightmare as a mother, that my son would say, she's fat, I don't want to hang out with her, or I do, or you know, like, to judge them off of their size.
Yeah.
So what a huge impact we have as in raising our future.
They listen and they pay attention, and it's like those cliche commercials that are really real when you see little girls say things about themselves, and it's things that they've heard their mom say. Like, that's always what they say. They're like, oh, well, my mom said it. Oh, my aunt said it. Oh, my sister said it. Because a 5 or 6 year old girl does not know what a thigh gap is.
No.
Like, what? But they do know how fast they can run and how cool that is. And so that's included in things. We're talking about looking in the mirror. One of the things that I always say is look in the mirror and take note of what you can do that you couldn't always do. Like, you couldn't walk when you were a baby. Like, you use so many muscles to walk, and not everybody can walk. Like, that's
so true.
Something awesome that you can do. Like, you can run. That's really cool. You are able to do a push-up. That's cool. You're able to work out a math problem that I could never work out. Like, that's cool. Like, there's a lot of things that you need to recognize that, it's if it were gone, you would notice.
Yeah.
If you lost a foot, you'd notice. So be grateful for it because you have it. And it's just, there is so much to love about yourself that even if for you it's starting with something, like, if you really, and this will make me want to cry, but like, if you really hate yourself, then find something. I guarantee there is something that you don't hate. And one thing that I don't love, you'll hear a lot of people say, like, oh, well, ask your friends what's great about you and base off that. But I personally don't love that. There's arguments for and against, but I don't ever want my value to come from something that someone said about me, which is something that probably is off-putting about me. But what I mean by that is I know sometimes people compliment me and they're probably like, oh, well, she didn't even care that I said that. And I'm like, no, I think that's awesome. Like, thank you. I appreciate the sentiment. I don't tell them the other dialogue I have in my head, which is, that's cool. I don't care. Like,
yeah.
But it's like, okay, thanks. Like,
but would you want your child to think that the only reason you love them is because they're cute?
Yeah, no.
Because what happens when they get acne? Like, you don't want to build a sense of self based off of compliments. Absolutely.
Yeah. And coming back full circle to when I talked about that relationship where everyone, including myself, thought I was going to crash and burn. The reason I didn't crash and burn was because my self-worth and my value was zero. Everything I did was based on that relationship. The way I felt about myself was 0% based off what my significant other thought of me. So when he broke up with me, I wasn't like, well, why am I shitty? I was like, oh, okay, that relationship didn't work.
And you were still heartbroken.
My gosh, I was a mess, but I wasn't, I never questioned, my thoughts were, this relationship did not work out. These are places that I could change my relationship. No part of me thought, I am not good enough for a relationship. And that's because when you give someone like real estate over you, when you let someone build you up from their compliments, it is impossible to not give them the power to tear you down as well.
Yeah.
And so,
No, you hand your power over to someone.
yeah. So as soon as, if someone does not matter to you, if a bully is really mean to you, it's hard, but you're not putting a lot of weight in what they say to you. If it's someone that's always mean, it's like, well, that was mean. Why did you say that? But like if your mom makes a comment to you about how you need to lose weight or how what you said was dumb or stupid, that hurts because you love your mom and your mom loves you. And so even to the point with my parents, I love my parents so much. I have the greatest relationship with them. Part of that is because I love that they're proud of me, but I don't care. Like, thanks. That's awesome.
It doesn't change.
It doesn't change
that
my
you're
perspective
proud
of
me.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a really cool thing with that is, hold on one second. So we could use this example in business as well. So it's like a lot of people have been there where one client is really unhappy, leaves a horrible review, and it shatters your whole freaking universe of like, who am I? Is this even working? Am I even a good hairstylist? Am I a piece of shit? Where if you can get really comfortable and grounded in who you are as an artist, your craft, and your business policies, when that happens, it still hurts and it still sucks and you're still upset.
It's never
but it doesn't
nice.
shatter your identity as a businesswoman in your craft. And a lot of that comes back to, education and putting the work in, just like self-love. This isn't like okay, I love myself. It's putting that work in. So when these things happen, which they do happen.
It takes time and exercise. I mean, when we want to do something physically hard, we work our muscles. Loving yourself is emotionally hard. And
it's like an emotional muscle.
Yeah, it is. You need to practice. You need to work. I constantly read books about loving myself. I constantly make note of things that I'm great at because that goes away if you don't. Like it's really easy to forget. Really easy to forget the good.
An example of this is as a mother, and we've talked about this on the podcast, I've had a lot of mom shame in my life. And I've really learned that I was actually in control of how I feel. And by no means have I mastered this, but I'm working on it. So when someone questions whether or not I'm a good mom because I work a lot, or someone questions whether or not I'm a good mom because I don't always make preschool pickups, or I can't be at every karate lesson, or whatever that is, when that mother-in-law or whoever makes that comment, that used to shatter me as a person. It made me question whether or not I was on the right path, if I should be doing this job, if I've made all the wrong choices in my life, if I was even supposed to be a mother. But do you guys see how that lack of self-love or confidence in that department can unravel you when something happens, whether it be with your weight gain, your business, your child? And I'm learning to own the fact that I know I'm a good mother, no matter what someone says, unless I think I'm a bad mother. Then you know what I mean? If I think I'm a bad mom, that's a different story. But this is number 3. So if you are someone who thinks you hate yourself, or you think you're a bad mom, or you're failing in business, or you feel something, and maybe this podcast is a little bit emotional for you, on whatever spectrum you're coming from, I want you to ask yourself these 4 questions. This is something my life coach does. It's probably from some other life coach. But so you're telling me I'm a bad mom, Elizabeth. I'm super fat and I hate my body, right? Something like, it hurts me to say those words, but something like that.
Yeah.
I want you to ask yourself, is this true? And then I want you to ask yourself, are you positive this is true with everything in you? And then I want you to ask yourself, if this were not true, who would you be? And that's like and if you were that person, what would your life look like? And then my life coach would tell you, you are not allowed to be that person anymore. And every day is a new blank page. You are not allowed to drag that bullshit from yesterday's page to the next page. You are allowed tomorrow. You have permission to start tomorrow being that person.
Being the better version.
Yep. And so
100%.
So I think sometimes exercises like that, us writing it down, getting it out of our systems, really thinking about it. And for me, that statement of, if this is not true, who would I be? Mm-hmm. That's like a really cool, scary, powerful statement. Don't you think, Mazie?
Oh, yeah. Well, and it is. You look at your negative thoughts about yourself and they really aren't holding you. They really are holding you back. They really aren't true. Mm-hmm. And if they are true, that's the flip side of it. If they're actually genuinely true, then fix it.
Yeah,
like,
start working on it. That's
and that's
great.
that's part of loving yourself. It's like what I was saying with confidence. It's knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. I can tell you what I'm bad at. It doesn't mean I don't love myself. It means I know where I'm working.
Yeah.
Another big thing to remember is that loving yourself doesn't mean life is easy. Mm-hmm. Because that is something that you'll learn, like that the more you love yourself, you'll realize that there's a lot of things that come easier, but life's still going to be really hard. It's just going to be easier to deal with that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make it all rainbows and butterflies. And like when I talk about certain things, I think that I sound like I have this romantic view on life, when in reality, I'm for sure a realist. Mm-hmm. Like
I have more of a romantic view than she does. I have a much more romantic view than you do.
Oh, yeah.
And either way, both of us aren't living these cupcake lives.
No, it's just, I'm very realistic about things.
And the cupcake life doesn't fucking exist, by the way.
No, it's not real.
Life is about the work you put in and the person you become and the people you help. And that's it. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Is to grow and learn and share and love.
To continue to shape ourselves in a better way.
Yeah.
And so it is important.
And that's why it's important to love it, because that is what life is learning and growing and changing and experiencing things. So if you can't love that, you're not loving life at all. There is not an other side of this.
And giving yourself permission to love yourself does nothing but makes everyone around you better.
Yep.
And that was the thing that I learned and tested this last year. So Rachel Hollis, she has a talk and she gives this metaphor. And basically what she says is, and I want you to like physically picture this, a vase that's there and there's like a stream of water going into the vase. And like in a circle around the vase, there's a bunch of plants and flowers. And every time the vase gets just enough water that there's like, a couple inches of water in the vase, it tips to the side, dumps water out on one of the plants and it waters it. And it spends the whole entire day bending from side to side, watering every plant, making sure everything gets watered. Eventually, that vase is going to tip over and shatter. It's going to hit something. It's going to hit a little rock, or it's going to rock too far to the side, or it's going to think it has enough water to pour, and it's going to fall over, and it is going to shatter into pieces. So picture that vase as being you. You're that vase. The water going in is love and care. And the plants around you are your children, your employees, your clients, your physical health, like they're all of your responsibilities, and there are 1,000 of them. And so that's, you're dumping the water out. But if you're that vase and the water is constantly dumping in and you're letting that self-love and care, if you stop and you just take care of yourself, eventually that vase fills up and it overflows and it dumps and everything is constantly getting water on it. Mm-hmm. And that's how you keep yourself healthy that's what, on an airplane, what do? They tell you to put your oxygen on and then put it on the people around you that need help. You can't care for others if you're not caring for yourself. And so that's why the idea that it's not selfish. Self-love is not selfish.
No. Because
that's how you care for people. You build your own capacity. Love is not a finite resource. Like it's not a limited resource. There's not a certain amount of love to be given. the best way to give love is to grow and cultivate love. And the only way to do that is by constantly loving and making that be your core and your center.
And you have to love from the inside out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
love
not,
that.
it's honestly, it's bullshit if you think that you can share love with everyone around you when you're filled with toxic energy. It's just not, it wouldn't
It's a
feel
lie.
authentic.
No, and it's a lie. Yeah.
Yeah, it just wouldn't feel real. And people know that. People
Yeah.
feel that.
I love that. Maisie, you're so wonderful. I do have a challenge for you guys today on the podcast. So, however you're spending Valentine's, whether it's with a million little kiddos or it's after a really hard breakup, or maybe you are struggling with feeling alone in the world, or maybe it's with your grandma or your dog or your gal pals getting wasted out of your mind. I don't give a shit how you're doing it, girl.
Yes.
This is something I am challenging you to do at some point in your Valentine's or Valentine's week is write a love note to you.
That's what I was going to say. I was going
Oh
to
my
say,
God,
write
no
yourself
way.
a Valentine.
No.
Write yourself a
We
Valentine.
did not plan this.
No, we really didn't. Write yourself a Valentine. Write out a letter, like a legitimate letter of every single positive thing that you've done in your life, every positive thing about yourself. You will cry. You will cry if you actively write yourself a letter, like allowing yourself to, giving yourself permission, like physically write down, I am worth everything I want. I am amazing. I am worth loving. And then write why. Write the reasons why.
The same way you would like to your spouse. You'd want to tell them,
yes.
I'm so grateful. You're so smart. You make my life so much easier. All the things that they do for you, write to yourself. Be really romantic. But really celebrate those things and tell yourself how freaking wonderful you are and how grateful you are. Just like Mazie said, for your feet, for your eyes, for your heart, for your craft, everything you do. So happy Valentine's, gals.
Yes.
We wish
Happy Valentine's Day.
we are celebrating it with you. And seriously, go head over to the blog and read Mazie's love note to our tribe. She put a lot of work into it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go read it. It has some good tips and tricks. And
Yeah, Mazie, the queen of self-love. Thank you for being on the podcast, taking the time to, gather all your thoughts
thank
and
you for letting me.
spreading light to our community. We seriously love doing this podcast, by the way,
We do.
guys.
It's incredible. It's one of the most fun parts of the job.
Yes, we have heard so many of your stories and reaching out. I feel like we are just becoming friends with so many of you. And so with that being said, if this podcast has been spreading light into your life and it's something you love, the best way you can support us bringing you all of this wonderful free content is to leave a review, share it on Instagram, tell your friends, subscribe. All of that helps so much. So that's all we need from you, and we'll keep rolling out the free content.
Yeah. We love you and we love ourselves. And
Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And as always,
We hair love you.
Hair, love, radio.